Now, at this year's iPower event, I had the opportunity to sit down with IBM's very own Andrew Laidlaw. This was following his full-day workshop on AI technologies and their relevance to the IBMI community. Now, unfortunately, the microphone failed, but Andrew very graciously agreed to catch up a couple of days later, and what follows is that very conversation. Andrew, welcome back to the IBMI update. And for those who didn't attend the iPower workshop, could you give us a quick overview on what you were aiming to cover during the full day?
I can do. We had a brilliant day on the first day of the iPower conference. We ran a workshop covering AI technologies, and in particular Agentic AI, which is the use of generative AI to put things to work in your business. We concentrated on a couple of tools in particular, so IBM Bob, which is an agentic assistant to guide people through the entire software development lifecycle. So looking at their code base, whether that's RPG or COBOL or CL or Node.js or Python, whatever they're running on their system, and helping them document it, helping them understand it, understand the business processes that it encapsulates, and then modernizing it as well. Then later on in the day, we also introduced attendees to the IBM watsonx Orchestrate platform, which is about creating, managing, and orchestrating, as the name suggests, AI agents within a business.
Now, focusing on the morning session, obviously it was Bob as the AI-powered software development assistant. Now, what capabilities seemed to resonate most with the audience? Was it the fact that it can provide code generation, explanation, refactoring, documentation, testing, or something entirely different?
I think the biggest wow moment of the day for most people is when they first start using products like IBM Bob and find that it has a better understanding of their code base than they think it will. So step one for most people is documentation, creating diagrams showing data flows, logic flows. It really opens up their eyes to the possibilities of what generative AI can do with their existing code. But the other areas where we see people getting really excited is removing some of the drudgery from the development process. So automating the building of tests, automating the deployment and running of tests, working on fixing minor issues or bugs, rather than concentrating on doing the new things and building something special for their business. So yeah, there was a lot of excitement around the capabilities that existed.
I felt it myself from the people leaving the room. Now, a lot of IBMI shops are dealing with applications that have evolved over decades. How can AI help developers understand older RPG, COBOL, CL, database relationships and business logic more quickly?
There are a few steps that they can take. So one of them is to start with documentation, to start with a clearer understanding of what an entire application can do, but also what's encapsulated in each of the modules. But then the generative AI tools can also help make that code easier to understand. So modernizing from fixed format to free format, that is a big step that helps make the code more accessible to new developers coming in. But also moving towards ILE standards, moving towards SQL rather than DDS and that kind of thing, and modernizing that code to make it easier, not just to understand, but easier to work with for the future.
Now, one of the things that we saw in the Fortra IBMI Marketplace survey was skills availabilities. Now, the biggest concern, how do you see tools like Bob helping organizations reduce the risk around scarce RPG and IBMI knowledge?
So IBM Bob can't replace an experienced developer. It doesn't remove the need to have people in the business working on this code. What it can do, though, is for new people coming into the business, new developers with less experience of RPG. It can act as a mentor, a senior developer sat next to them, explaining concepts, guiding them on how something might happen, explaining elements of the code and procedures that they might not clearly understand themselves. And then for those more experienced people in the team, the ones who've been working with this same code base for decades in some cases, the tools can act more like a junior developer, somebody that you can pass off the easier elements to, or the everyday tasks, so that they can concentrate on getting the most out of the application and developing it for the future. So in essence, you're expanding your team and providing the right advice, the right guidance, and the right clarity at every point to help them be more efficient and do their job better.
And I very much see it as a tooling assistant. So it gives you more in your toolbox rather than replace any particular coder that they may have in the business.
Absolutely.
Now, the afternoon session moved into watsonx Orchestrate for building, running, and managing AI agents. How would you explain the difference between using AI to help write code and using AI agents to support business workflows?
Okay, so Agentic AI, working with code and in that development environment, that's very specialized, and it comes with a huge amount of context of what that code is, what the system is like, that kind of thing. So it's very focused on a task. The value of something like watsonx Orchestrate is that you can then build equivalent agents that are specialized in other tasks. So you can have agents that are designed to help with HR processes, or agents that are designed to help with finance processes, or anything else within your business where there's a level of automation that can be applied using this kind of AI. And that, to me, is where the difference is. It's about the specialization. We're not providing artificial general intelligence here. Instead, we're building very bespoke agentic tools that can interact with the right systems, that have the right understanding of those systems, and that can help a person within the business do their job better.
Yeah, so the big change here is that we're moving away from AI just answering questions, but starting to perform tasks across the system using that native data.
Absolutely. It's about giving those AI agents enough permission to access a system that they can do something on behalf of the user. And the security and the control and the permissions is critically important when you're building these things. So building them within the right framework that understands the implications of what's going on is really important. But it is about doing something that helps the user, whether that's automating a process in HR, as I mentioned, or whether that's sending an email on their behalf, or understanding messages coming in from multiple different sources and collating all of that together.
Now, for IBM customers, a lot of business critical logic sits inside their existing applications. So what would you say are the key considerations when connecting AI agents to those systems safely?
That, to me, is nothing new for most businesses. It's about role-based access control. If the user interacting with an agentic AI shouldn't have access to the data or to a particular part of the system, then that AI agent shouldn't be able to access anything else either. So putting those controls in place is important, and passing through the permissions, the role-based access limitations for an individual user as they're using them is also very, very important. That's where frameworks like watsonx Orchestrate are really valuable, because you don't need to add that in every single time you're building an agent. It's part and parcel of the platform.
Now, the final part of the workshop brought Bob and Orchestrate together, using Bob to help create agents from natural language prompts. How significant a development is this?
It's huge, quite frankly. Building agents that are valuable for your business means building something that is bespoke for the systems that you work with, the data structures that you've got, those business processes and the business logic that's encapsulated in your applications. And building those manually, it can be time consuming. It can be something that requires additional skills. But when we combine the value of Agentic AI in Bob with the capabilities to build these agents in a recognized and robust framework like watsonx Orchestrate, makes it much easier for anybody within a business to build an AI agent that helps them in their day-to-day life. And that's the part that is going to have the biggest impact across businesses worldwide.
No, quite. So does this suggest a future where developers are not only writing application code, but designing AI-assisted workflows and business agents around these particular applications?
Absolutely. The role of the developer themselves is going to change. It has already changed.
Yes.
We're no longer seeing people who prove their value by understanding the exact syntax that's required for a particular function. Instead, it's about bringing that developer mindset, understanding the platform that they're working with, understanding the data structures and the business logic, and then being able to explain to the right tools how that can be used to do something more within the business. So that change of mindset, that change of approach is definitely on the path. We're seeing it already. We're seeing it within IBM in the way that our developers approach building new tools. And we've got all of the capabilities there already to support those developers on that journey, which is great to see.
That's terrific. Now, IBM itself is often described as stable, reliable, and secure. Do those same characteristics make it a strong platform for the AI era?
It absolutely does. So nothing about the business requirements changes when we move into an AI infused world. Businesses will still need the security in place to protect their critical data. They will still need the reliability so that these systems continue running and their business continues running no matter what's happening out there in the world. They still need the performance to drive that business forwards and to make sure that they're not missing out on any opportunities, any orders, anything like that. So the underlying elements that make the IBM platform so strong and so sticky in our customers, that is still going to be critical in the future. The thing that really changes when we start bringing in all of that AI is that it needs to be a bit more open to those possibilities. And that's something that the team has been focusing on for well over a decade, is making that IBM system more accessible, but ensuring it still has the security, the resilience, and the performance in place to manage that.
And finally, if we come back to this conversation in 2 to 3 years' time, what do you think will have changed most about IBM development because of AI?
That's a very difficult one to predict, given the pace of change that's going on in the world, particularly with the AI tools.
Cast your eyes across that crystal ball.
I personally think that we will have seen a whole-scale change in the way that developers approach their job. That those that are doing well and who are succeeding in their business and making material impact in their business are the ones who will have embraced AI, who will be using the tools in the most effective way, and who will be creating new concepts, new ideas, and will have found ways of making their business more successful through the implementation of the right data processing, the right accessibility to data, or just by making their core systems even better than they are today.
Andrew, thank you again for your time, and thank you for joining the IBM Update.
No problem. Thank you for inviting me.